In this video, we will continue our discussion of Agile Development using Visible Systems tools, this time focusing on Polaris. In part 1 of this series, we created issues or user stories from existing use case objects in the Visible Analyst repository and transferred them over to Polaris. Here we'll take a look at Polaris itself and how we can use the different types of templates for creating issue sets, Scrum for product backlog, sprint backlog, and so forth. First thing we're going to do is take a look at the properties for an issue set. We have a number of preferences we can work with, how issues should be displayed to the user when they're accessing the issue set, the users that are associated with a particular issue set, the groups, and then the last two tabs are the most important, fields and promotions. The fields tab allows us to make modifications to the fields that appear in the issue set, such as a list of items. So for example, if we wanted to have team members listed here, we could do so. Or a program area, such as user interface, documentation, and so forth. The last tab is promotions, and this is how items are moved from one state to another. So in this case, we have the admin has been given the ability to create new issues, as well as promote from a new issue or not done to in progress. We can also add a state from in progress to done, and we'll add admin to that state as well. And we can also specify who gets notified when a promotion occurs, so that if a development member is going to be working on a particular issue, they can be notified when that state change happens. So let's take a look at the actual issues that we brought over from Visible Analyst into Polaris. In this case, we have two. One is called Customer Buy Books, the other is Customer Put Books in Shopping Cart. As you recall, when we actually generated those issues, we specified as an option that we wanted the actor associated with the use case to be prefixed on the user story name. That's why we have customer here. So if we open it up, we see a number of fields that we can specify. We can specify a release, an estimated effort. This is not so much important here, but it is important when we're dealing with sprint backlogs. Here are those two drop-down lists I was talking about if we want to specify members, and those drop-downs, they would appear here. And then finally we have a business priority. We'll set this one to urgent. And right now it's not done, so we want to specify that it's going to be in progress. Now if I try to specify a state that has not been assigned to me, a promotion state, I'll get a message saying that I'm not authorized to make that promotion. Let's go back to that issue for a second. I want to show you the second page on the description. This is where the details of the actual user story appear. So here's the scenario details that were passed over from Polaris, from Visible Analyst. And then we have the conditions of acceptance. What has to occur for this particular feature to be complete? And here we have added 3 simple conditions that must be met before we can specify that this particular task is completed. Now let's take a look at, this is a product backlog. So now let's take a look at a sprint backlog. And in this case we have a number of tasks associated with this particular sprint backlog, and I have not only their status, ID, the name of the task, and when it was modified, But in this case, I've linked them to an issue in our product backlog. So that gives you the ability to keep your product backlog and sprint backlog in sync. And that linking is done by going to this last tab, the Referrals tab. Then this shows me the name of the task, its ID number, and what issue set it actually belongs to. If I wanted to create a new relationship between an issue in one issue set and another, I just click on this button and choose the issue, or change the issue set and then choose an issue. Finally, one of the most important features that you have when dealing with the Scrum methodology is when you're dealing with the sprint backlog, you want to be able to have a report as to where you stand with regards to the completion of the sprint. And that's done with the burn down report. So here's a simple burn down report that we've created. To show you how the issues were created and also how they were worked on in a particular state throughout the life cycle of the product sprint.